Before we start, a little disclaimer that this is not a medical advice. This is a general approach. This is my knowledge and my information and my experience of what I know about lifestyle changes, about chronic health condition, and in particular, in this case, about fibromyalgia. None of these recommendations are an individual treatment plan, and I do not pretend that I heal or I cure people or etc. I'm a wellness therapist. My name is Maria Taneva, and we are starting to our talk about what do we need to know about managing the pain in fibromyalgia. Mostly, we won't talk directly about the pain, but through managing of all this lifestyle, we will be touching on the pain, because these are our instruments in the holistic coaching. Through lifestyle, we manage the pain. We'll be talking about functional and structural fibromyalgia. We'll be talking about the foundational approach of fibromyalgia, but let me start first with a chronic global pain syndrome. I need us to make this parallel between fibromyalgia and chronic global pain syndrome and try and clear the confusion, because it is confusing for many of us, and myself including sometimes, because fibromyalgia is a very complicated condition to diagnose, and the doctors very often misdiagnose it, or it takes very long time to be diagnosed, and it's not their fault. It's just there's no test that tells you, okay, you have this and that result on this test, boom, you have fibromyalgia. It doesn't work like that. So before that, I would like to offer you a very good book on fibromyalgia by Dr. David Brady, or Brady, I don't know how to pronounce his name actually. The spelling is B-R-A-D-Y, where he puts fibromyalgia and global pain syndrome under fibromyalgia syndrome. The global pain, which is not diagnosed as fibromyalgia, has similar symptoms, and that is why the approach is the same or similar. Because many conditions imitate fibromyalgia, it takes a long time to diagnose. In some cases, as I know, 6 years or so. The chronic global pain syndrome can come with IBS. And the IBS usually is accompanied by intestinal cramping, gasiness, bloating, diarrhea, or constipation. Some of these might be fibromyalgia symptoms. As well, IBS can come with a fibromyalgia as well. So you see how complicated it is, because the symptoms overlap. This broad range of potential symptoms makes fibromyalgia and other associated chronic pain syndromes that can masquerade fibromyalgia hard to diagnose. Why more women are diagnosed with fibromyalgia than men? I'm very often asked this question, because women perceive pain at a lower pressure threshold when it is applied to their soft tissue than men. So that's why women mostly are diagnosed. It doesn't mean that men do not suffer and etc. As a matter of fact, I read somewhere that most probably the same percentage of people with fibromyalgia are men as well as women. Just they're not diagnosed. I don't know. This was in an article. And why it is so hard to get help to manage that pain, to manage that fibromyalgia? Because just as many patients are confused about these syndromes, so are many physicians and other healthcare professionals, including myself. And why is that? Because all the complexities of the human body are still to be fully understood. You see how every day they discover just a new thing about the human body we didn't know so far, or we didn't expect that this process will occur this and that way at this that place in the body, because fibromyalgia is different for every person and individualized approach is needed. That's why it is so long lasting, the diagnosis. So let me tell you, because the way we're different outside, the same way we're different inside, we are not exactly the same inside. And here I want to quote of Dr. Charles Bowman. As a surgeon, it is not infrequently one is presented with anatomical variations, and during surgery end up saying, I know this sucker, it's supposed to be here somewhere. I have to tell you that I also have an example from my practice. When I used to work with people with cancer, I was very lucky that very often I was guided by a surgeon who was helping us. Clients, most of them were on natural treatments, and doctors usually want to step back when this is happening. Not that we do something illegal, they just don't like when a naturopathic doctor takes over, for instance. So I worked with naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, and this surgeon was amazing. He helped us a lot, off the records, of course. He told me the images from the CT scan, for instance, are giving me an idea about the anatomy. When I open the body, it is often a slightly different picture from the one I saw on the CT scan, but still similar. So some organs can be, like for instance, the kidneys. You imagine two kidneys, that's what you've seen on the picture, right? But sometimes the kidneys are, how to say, agglutinated together, and they form something like a horseshoe. So you see how this is a different looking organ. Very often the pathways of different, and the consistency, the content of different fluids in the body is different from person to person. And let me tell you, for genetics, variability is infinitely high. This means there are lots of differences in DNA from one person to another, which can determine inter-individual differences in skin color, metabolizing drugs, or resisting infection. And I would also say metabolizing food as well. In that regard, every person really is a special case and would need their own evaluation and healing protocol. So these are some of the difficulties we are in front when we start dealing with fibromyalgia and other conditions. But that is why the medical solutions are based on, which should be based on individual genetics. They're very costly and they don't really practice that. Therefore, the doctors work within a range. I work within a range sometimes as well, until I'm able to narrow down the approach when we work with the lifestyle changes. This is very important for people who have the chronic health condition to realize that we almost work blind. We're blind. If we don't assess really deeply, if we don't spend hours with the client to ask them questions for when and how did this occur, the stress that caused that disease, but this takes a lot of time. And in my case, clients fill out a lot of questionnaires, a until I'm ready to prescribe the lifestyle changes, exercises, nutrition, advices, and etc. So things start rolling. I suggest the initial protocol and then I re-evaluate for two reasons. The body is an ever-changing system of systems, and the pain of today is not the pain from yesterday. Some of the prescriptions might be found not suitable for that person, or I will need to be or they will need to be modified due to some changes in their body. As you can see, this assessment is a very complex and dynamic process. Very often mistakes can be made and it can be discouraging. But on the picture in front of you, you probably see that to be able to be free of chronic health condition, you must restore the digestive system and the nervous system first, and very important. Then you progress to optimum health and healthy habits. This is when the body starts flourishing. It's been accumulating that energy and it repairs itself. And the energy inside is close to the optimum energy we are able to achieve. And then the body thrives. And then we are ready for more spiritual practices, helping others, connecting to the self, and etc. But without those healthy habits that we start building in the restore phase, and then while we flourish with their help, without them, we cannot really thrive. And this process is the same for every person, and it is a possibility for every person. It just has to be done, like I said, the right assessment, and then the right prescription of the lifestyle changes. Another reason why fibromyalgia is difficult to deal with is the fact that it's a disorder of the central nervous system. And as you can see on the left where it says restore, and below it says nervous system. Nervous system is, this is a wiring problem in the fibromyalgia that might be triggered by trauma or early psychological issues. The nervous system controls the digestive system, or lately they say that the digestive system maybe controls the brain, the central nervous system, because the pathway of information between both is very tiny from the brain to your gut, and 10 times bigger from the digestive system from your gut to your brain. So who controls who? We don't know exactly here yet. I think the scientists are quite puzzled right now. I see more and more researchers on the gut, because it turned out that the life there is mesmerizing, absolutely amazingly productive for ideas for healing and etc. We'll be talking about gut in this short webinar. So while environmental factors play a role, and we'll be talking most about them, there is a very likely a genetic component. They say up to 28% of children born to a parent with fibromyalgia develop it themselves. Actually, quite often children endure parents' diseases and issues in life, and they don't repeat them. As you can see, 1/3 does and 2/3 doesn't, according to this research I'm quoting right now. Little children have no really filter and experience, and when they get the information like sponges from the environment, very often they identify themselves with their parents, for instance, or other people, and they want to be like them, and they start mimicking them and mimic their lifestyles and etc. And yes, if they have those genes that are sensible and sensitive about fibromyalgia, those genes can open up, become active, and the fibromyalgia to be caused. So this is one idea, one perspective, an opinion of the science, which I just tried to introduce to you. So classic fibromyalgia healing pathways are the following. The three major pathways we take. First of all, we're mapping the symptoms and learning about the pain history. I can't stress how important it is. I can't stress enough how important it is to know where your fibromyalgia is coming from, where did it start, after what experience or psychological event, and etc. So what is causing your specific complaints is another thing which we have to discuss in the healing pathway. And here you see we put that domino rolling just as a reminder that symptoms and complaints come like a domino effect, one after the other. And if we have another condition developed already, it's very easy to get the next condition, because the human systems are collapsing one after the other. They cannot perform 100% of what they're supposed to. And they start falling behind with different processes, processing, metabolizing, expelling toxins, and etc. So that's why, well, we say it's like a domino effect. And to understand this domino effect, we have to know what was causing your specific complaints. Did you have another condition, or it was a stress, or it's a stress in the environment? Which event exactly? Therefore, we can go into the root and see where we can help and change lifestyle in order to heal. And of course, we have to know what is our goal during the process of healing. So our goal usually starts with alleviating the symptoms, whatever the origin is, revive a low energy. Then we have reduced inflammation that may be driving our pain. And when I say that, I'm talking inflammation in the body, which occurs due to toxification, due to different foods that are not suitable with our metabolic type, with our body. Inflammation that can be from infection as well, yes. Then we eliminate food allergens and sensitivities, which can also cause inflammation. We all have sensitivities to different type of foods, and I'll give you an example. For instance, when I eat a lot of brassicas, this is cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, etc., I feel I get a little bit bloated, and I know that I have to stop before the point where I enjoy them too much. So this way I know I'm sensitive, and I have to prepare them in advance, let them sit and rest, settle a little bit as a salad before I consume them, or pour olive oil and or steam them before I consume them, so to delay or eliminate that bloatiness. Reduce stress, of course. We live in a very stressing environment. You can't imagine the impact of, let's say you go on the street, the cars, the transportation, the noise over your body. Your body constantly has to deal with that, build barriers to protect you, constantly have to adjust itself to those stressful conditions. And this is again the nervous system's job mainly. And that's why we talk about that, because fibromyalgia is a wiring process due to central nervous system troubles. Okay, we continue. I think it was regain critical mobility. Mobility is super important. Why? Because in order for our tissues to nourish, the body has to deliver fluids throughout the body. And this happens through us moving. Let me tell you, because fibromyalgia also come with laxity, excessive laxity, joint laxity, then the joints, the blood does not get to the joints. The joints has to pull through, imagine just a cheesecloth kind of thing, the nutrients through, from the blood. And this is through movement. If the joint doesn't move, it becomes stagnated, and its range of motion just becomes less than it's supposed to be. And then we have pains and aches and etc. So regain critical mobility is very, very important. In relations to above healing path, I would like to go over some symptoms which we want to understand better, that domino effect. So we said we have muscular pains and aches. In fibromyalgia, they usually legs, pelvis, upper shoulder, the arms, along with a throbbing, shooting, or a stabbing pain. And we have burning sensations. We feel in result exhaustion, because every time when you feel pain, your nervous system is overly taxed and you feel exhausted, just because the nervous system cannot perform for your daily life, because it has to deal with the pain. You see how it's the domino effect here, from the pain to burning to exhaustion. Then we're so exhausted, but we can't sleep. You may experience various forms of sleepiness, sleeplessness, such as discomfort or active pain that keeps you awake or awakes you up. The inability to go to sleep, waking up too early, and not getting back to sleep, or sleeping and waking up feeling groggy or unrefreshed. This is because during the night you didn't have a recovery, despite that you thought you were sleeping, but the recovery wouldn't take place. Then we have acute sensibility to stimuli. You may have extreme sensitivity to touch, light, or sound. Many people are very sensitive to touch who are dealing with fibromyalgia. And in result, you are so much out of energy that you get a depression. So you understand my point about the domino effect, how things go one after the other. And the result is headaches, stiffness, you can't live your life to the fullest, and it's very, very sad. But let me tell you that there is a help. And in the book I mentioned in the beginning, Fibrofix by Dr. David Brady, he has a lot of positive stories about fibromyalgia, and it takes about 6 months for people to reverse the condition. And all of the people he quotes in his book just healed, and for quite a few years they haven't had the fibromyalgia since he treated them. So we continue with the my words are escaping today, the foundational plan. And let's see what is this foundational plan. We said that we have a classic fibromyalgia. I mentioned also that we have structural and functional fibromyalgia. So the foundational plan in this particular case, the general foundational plan, consists of 4 basic components. Oops, yeah. And the first one is anti-inflammatory foods. Remember what I showed you in the beginning, where that graphics where I showed you the digestive system and the nervous system in the restoring section. Anti-inflammatory foods are part of our work with the digestive system. This is also abstaining the body from unhealthy substances and habits. Here, many herbal components must be included, and the nutritional plan has to be simple and synchronized with your metabolic typing. I very much believe that, because not one food might be very good source of nutrition for one person, but it might be a poison for another person to cause bloating, constipation, diarrhea, etc. for that other person. So that's why synchronization with your metabolic typing. Definitely, I ask people to remove dairy, soy, and gluten. You will be surprised in how many products is the soy. And about the gluten, you can read so much. In the dairy, we have those lectins, which I really don't like, which are worse than gluten. And let's be straight here. We never seen a person to get off a car, go on the field, and drink a milk for a cow. This is not our national thing, our natural thing. So dairy is a no-no. Those products I just mentioned might be introduced in the future if you really want them, if you really like them, but you have to be aware how to take them so they don't cause trouble in your body. The added supplements to this plan should support the detox and the nourishing of the body. So every time I explain that when I say detox, I mean the body detoxifies itself every day. We do not give the body things to make it detox. We help the body with different tools to enhance or I would say make this process more vigorous. That's what we do with those foods and supplementations. Not that we detox the body detoxes itself. And in order to nourish the body, I use immunomodulators, immunostimulants like curcumin, an active constituent of turmeric, also ginger, ashwagandha. You can use medical mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms, I think it's more correct to say. Astringents, these are herbs that rebuild tissues, and bitters, herbs that help the digestive system, because I'm very faithful to the graphic I showed you in the beginning. Digestive system and nervous system, I just seen over and over again that this is working so well. In order to get good supplementation, one of the greatest supplementation is vitamin D with 3 with K2 for better absorption. Diets like a rotational diet, we try different type of nutrition and we find out which nutrition will remain as a lifestyle. It has to be a nutrition that it can stay with you forever, so to keep you healthy. And no fasting in this first phase. I would recommend intermittent fasting, but not more than 14 or so hours per day. That means the food has to be taken in the window of 8 hours, and then we make slowly that window less and less to 6 and 4 hours. And the intermittent fasting helps the body to revive, regain, recover tissues. When people are tired and out of energy, this is the last thing we want to do, right? To make them fast. Supplements have to be able to improve your digestion and reduce oxidative stress. Everybody heard about oxidants. Yes, they work. We take them as food and as supplementation. And we have to promote toxin elimination. This is through binding. The naturopathic doctors use a technique, it's called chelation. I work with a naturopathic doctor as well. He helps me a lot to provide better service to my clients. And relieve all the fibromyalgia-like symptoms. So some main supplements which I would like to also mention, which have to be tailored to your needs, are proteolytic enzymes and acetylcysteine, or NAC, they call it. It's an antioxidant. Glutathione, they sell glutathione, but I believe, from what I know in the theory, the body produces it itself. We just have to deliver the precursors for glutathione to produce it. Amino acids, including glycine, methionine, and taurine, to eliminate toxins. And the main goal here is to rebuild a gastrointestinal, nervous, and immune systems. So then we have a toxin lowering and toxin excluding lifestyle. Toxins are everywhere, and as a matter of fact, here in North America, they're more than anywhere else. Safe or not, I read somewhere that I read that they're introducing 30,000, I think they said, new chemicals a month. Many chemicals were not existing 30 years ago, and now they are in our food and different consumers items. They're released by industries. The problem is that the body produces its own internal toxins, which it has to expel. When we have metabolic dysfunction, people with chronic pain and chronic condition produce more of these internal toxins, while their internal mechanisms are mostly depressed. So when we have this problem, it becomes really hard to deal with the environmental toxins and internal toxins. Once toxins, regardless of their nature, find their way into the body, being trapped in organs and tissues, they cause fatigue and achiness. And most importantly, they interfere with energy production at the cellular level. So, yeah, toxin lowering and toxin excluding lifestyle is very, very important to be settled. Gentle movement, yes. Gentle movement, relaxation, meditation, breathing techniques, even movement only in bed. I know some people, especially those who are both functional fibromyalgia, they are very much bedridden. Mind you, structural fibromyalgia as well, it could be. They stay a long time in bed because they're in pain, and no shame for that. We know that you are in pain, but you can try and perform some movements in bed just to tone the nervous system, to make the fluids move through the body so they can serve you, because the fluids, they heal us, they deliver nutrients and etc. So mobility, stretching, it's very important. And for those of you who can move more and more mobile during the day and can do a little bit of exercise, you can have a little trampoline and just do very tiny movements on the trampoline to stimulate the lymphatic system. Nowadays, they say, we know that the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump to pump that lymph throughout the body. But now they say, no, the calf is the pump, actually. I don't know how many researchers is about that. I haven't seen the research, but I've seen quite a few doctors talk about that. So that's the exercise, right? Warm, cool showers also can be very beneficial, and any hydrotherapy is beneficial, and because it tunes up the nervous system. And I would suggest also sound relaxation. And the next fourth part of the foundational plan is addressing the stress and stressful events that led to the fibromyalgia. When I work with the clients who have chronic condition, we always go back. Usually it's in the childhood, a stressful event that either introduced wrong lifestyle habits, or a stressful event that remained as a psychological load, burden over us in our mind, and we work on it. If I feel that I'm not strong enough in this, because this is really, there are healers who do that. I have a lot of techniques like meditation, timeline, and others respiratory exercises. But if I feel that more help is needed, I can recommend some of my colleagues. So in short, the goal of this foundational plan is to target major contributors to pain and major discomfort, to reduce inflammation in the body, to eliminate the food allergens and sensitivities. So those anti-inflammatory foods and toxin-lowering foods and supplements, to revive your lower energy and to get you moving again. The pain protocol is all related to those changes in our life, and then the body is dealing with the pain. You know, the nervous system being so weak while we have fibromyalgia, really it can heal itself, but it also is not producing good results if it is so malfunctioning. So pain protocol is entirely pointed its efforts towards reviving of the nervous system. And yeah, so we continue with the next slide, and here I asked the girl to put this guy squatting. I will stop him now. You see, structural and functional fibromyalgia is the theme here. Why I put the man who is squatting? When we have structural problems, they're related to the musculature, and we usually go to the gym, work on our posture, work on our strength. And I just want that picture to you to associate with the structural fibromyalgia, because this type of structural fibromyalgia relates to structural pain like misalignments and injuries of the muscles, bones, and joints. So this is mostly the musculature. Muscle knots, trigger points related to myofascial pain. Just a little note here, tender points originate from the nervous system inflammation. Trigger points originate from the musculature, muscles, and this type of system. Then we have disc degeneration. Disc degeneration sometimes can be genetic, or people can be born with it. I had a couple of cases like that. It can be maintained. They maintain it with exercises and going to check themselves up regularly, but it can occur due to lifestyle. And again, this is a problem of the it's kind of a functional problem, because to get to the disc degeneration, which is not genetics, that means the body is dehydrated, the nutrition is improper, then the ergonomic at work or the place where you spend the most time, seated or standing, is not right for you, and etc. Yeah, then we get disc degeneration. Also, old age leads to degeneration of the discs, and many other reasons, of course. Nerve root irritation or compression. Here I would like to mention that your posture is extremely dependent on your alignment and musculature's health. Nerve root irritation can be pinched or inflamed nerve. When we have a compression, it's usually posture entirely. Nerve root irritation can come also from toxification or some bacteria or some infection as well, Postural distortions. Why posture is so important? Well, when you have a wrong posture, when your body is twisted or lean forward, hinged, and etc., then we say that the organs are suppressed and they don't get enough fluids in them, and they can't be nourished, they can't be cleansed, and they become stagnant. There are fluids that do not move inside of them. They form stones and things like that. So that's why posture is very important. Also, posture is important for your respiratory function. The better the posture, the greater the volume of oxygen we can breathe in. And then the greater the volume of the oxygen in the blood and throughout the body. Next would be toxic load. We'll talk later on more about toxic load. I already mentioned about the toxins which are around you. The body produces a toxic load, which it has to excrete as well. A joint or tendon injury like tendinitis. The tendons are those that receive the information from the brain in order to control our muscles. And when the tendon is injured, the whole muscle is not functioning well. We have pain, we have restricted range of motion of that joint that the tendons support, and very unpleasant thing. So the plan is stretching, mobility exercises. Like I work with a method that is called LDOA. This is a French acronym, but I'll tell you the English acronym is LOADS, LOADS, and it stands for longitudinal osteoarticular decoaptation stretching. So the longitudinal means along the spine. Osteoarticular means between bones and articulations, joints. And decoaptation is making a space between vertebrae, and stretching, because it's kind of a stretching. People do it themselves. It's a non-invasive technique which produces fantastic results. Then we should look at the ergonomics at work and moderate exercises. I know of some people with fibromyalgia who are doing strength training, high intensity interval training, and they feel really good. Some I know are running. So it is possible that to do more vigorous exercise, but everything has to be monitored. It depends on your symptoms. It depends on where you are at with your fibromyalgia. What else should I mention here? Of course, the appropriate supplements that support the musculoskeletal system. Supplements have a percentage of utilization, and the most I've heard so far, they claim for 90% utilization. I have no tools to prove if I utilize 90% of that magnesium, or if you utilize 90% of that magnesium. We know for sure when the body energy goes up, that the body took as much as it needed to function. But did it take 80 or 90% of this supplement? I don't know. But supplements are needed in this phase, and later on when people get healthy, they might just remain on a few basic supplementation like omega-3, one strong antioxidant, and maybe a combination of vitamin B's or minerals and vitamin combination for men and for women, right? Because they're different dosages. Stress reduction techniques and supplements like nervines. In herbalism, we give valeriana, chamomile. You know, these are nervines. They calm you down and make your nervous system more soothed and able to perform better. Not taxed all the time. Of course, professional support. Professional support is that relates to your doctor, to your other practitioners who work with you, and to my professional support to tailor the protocol always to your needs. So let's take a look at the function of fibromyalgia. The same squat we learn in the gym in order to improve our structure, our posture, the strength of the muscles, the range of motion of the joints, and other things, processes in the body. We have a functional fibromyalgia. We learn all these movements in order in life to function better. What I mean by that, you saw that the person on the right was sitting and standing. Every time when you're sitting, you're performing a squat. Every time you go into your car to sit, you're performing a lunge. Every time you go upstairs, you're performing a lunge. Every time you sit on the toilet bowl, you're performing a squat. So these and other movements, this is just to show you what is the difference between approaches. For one, we learn the squats and the exercises in order to achieve better strength and better posture. But then we use those techniques and what we've learned and what we've achieved in life to function better. So this is the functional fibromyalgia is related mostly to functional disorders that can result in a person feeling pain, fatigue, generalized intestinal distress, mild to moderate depression and anxiety, cognitive dysfunction. So you see here we go away from the musculature and the bones and the joints, and we go to the other systems, metabolizing and etc. You will see now we talk about chronic airborne allergies, hard time remembering things. This is something related to your nervous system, not to your musculature. So it's related to functioning in life. Constipation, digestive system. Then we have inability to tolerate exercises. Then you have difficulty concentrating. Intestinal distress. And again, digestive system. Then we have extreme or persistent fatigue, nervous system, or overload of the muscular system, overload of the digestive system. So we get that persistent fatigue. So joint pain, of course, and lower energy, muscle cramps and aches. Again, facial puffiness. I want to tell you, when people experience adrenal fatigue, and if you don't sleep, like in fibromyalgia, if you're constantly in pain, and your nervous system is super taxed and loaded, you can experience that adrenal fatigue. The adrenals are above the kidneys. They produce hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, aldosterone, I think was the other one, noradrenaline, I think was another one, but let's stay with the cortisol and adrenaline. They regulate the metabolism, the blood pressure, the response to stress. Those hormones are very important, and when we overwork those adrenals and we change the production of those hormones, that affects the entire body. So numbness or tingling, or even neuropathy. You know, neuropathy means weakness, numbness, and pain. That is a function of peripheral nervous system, or I would say a problem of the peripheral nervous system. Feeling cold all the time, so you can't really function in life without being upset, being disturbed. For blood sugar control, here I want to mention how important it is, the intake of low glycemic index food intolerances or sensitivity. We talked about that before. Weakness all over the body as well. Frequent post-nasal drip, unexplained weight gain, that's as well. It's a very complicated protocol. Most importantly, I would like to mention that the main supplements here are these which support cellular energy production, because we have problems on a cellular level. On left, where we had the structural fibromyalgia, we had musculature problem, bones, movements and joints and etc. by the musculature, but now we have a problem on the cellular level. So we need to take things like B complex vitamins, CoQ10, L-carnitine, magnesium, malic acid, and more specific to the client's needs and type of metabolic absorption of those supplements. Nutrition and lowering of the toxic load remains the same, but tailored to the client. Movements are again very specific to the stage of the condition and the ability to perform them. Inflammation in the body goes hand in hand with joint laxity, adrenal fatigue, of course, and we should look at joint stability overall and the diet for the fibromyalgia at all. So I would like to continue with the flower. Oh no, what is an anti-inflammatory lifestyle? Okay, let's say a few words here. So avoiding those foods that cause inflammation, and I think I mentioned dairy, soy, and gluten mostly. I would add here seeds as well, and fruits that are very high in sugar, like grapes, for instance. Avoiding them, or in the initial protocol, just cutting them off. So the body has the time, the opportunity to pick up some energy and do what it's supposed to do to heal us. Supplementation that support detoxification, supplementations that bind toxins and drive them out of the body, and supplementations that give the immune system a boost. They support the immune system. and help it function and perform better. Then we have movements that does not cause metabolic havoc in the body. What do I mean by that? When I was working first with cancer patients, I was very worried that I can harm them. So I did a lot of consultations, and here was that woman, a PhD in metabolism or something like that. And she told me the most important thing is don't cause metabolic havoc in the body. When the body is too acidic, because when we train, we tear muscle tissue, right? And the body becomes not the body, the muscles around the muscles, there is accumulation of acidity. Every part in the body has a different pH, so that's why I don't use the word the body becomes. And then that overloads the immune system. In this case, the immune system cannot deal with the inflammation like cancer and etc., but it has to deal with that new inflammation you introduce to the system. So you train people like that so they don't feel sore. That was her advice. To that day, I followed this advice, and I'm very proud because when I've prescribed exercises, I've never heard of people to get injured or to get extra sore or uncomfortable. The exercise has to give you energy to live your life to the fullest, right? And then the sleep. This is my favorite theme. The sleep depends on the cycles of the moon and the sun, and this cannot be changed because we have receptors on the skin that know when the sun rises and when the sun sunsets. So we try to change this cycle, but it doesn't work in our favor. And let me tell you that from 10 o'clock p.m. to 2 o'clock in the morning, we have physical recovery. From 2 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the morning, we have psychological recovery. And sleeping during the day does not compensate for the lost night's sleep. I used to train, that was for a weight loss, medical nurse, a nurse, yeah, and she was sleeping 3 of 7 nights or week, and we could not achieve any results because she was sleeping during the day. Some other days, sometimes her shifts would be 16 hours, 18 hours. It was insane. And at the end, I told her, I can't do much about you because you just can't recuperate, and rebuild anything in this body. And putting more stress with exercise, we can't solve. On the contrary, we do something really bad to your body. We stress it even more. So sleep is very, very important. Next is the flower of life. I would like to introduce this flower because this is my way of approaching people and make them think about a few important questions which are here on the petals. The first one is, do you know how to strengthen your immune system on your right side hand? A healing process without a strong immune system is not possible. The immune system is the one that will heal the body. What we do is to give the body those tools where the body can heal itself. So do you know how to strengthen your immune system? If you do, color the petal with green. If you know you can do better, color it with orange. If you need motivating or you need information, knowledge, or guidance, color it with red. Then, do you know which movement stretches can help remedy your chronic pain? Why this is important? I mentioned that the mobility leads to our fluids moving very freely throughout the body. And this is very, very important for our immune system, for our organs to function at optimum level. We have to know what movements in my state right now are the best for me. Are they stretches? Are they mobilization? Are they endurance? Are they strength? And etc. Do you have a comprehensive, customized healing plan for the next 16 weeks? If you would like to heal from, or at least alleviate the symptoms of whatever condition you're dealing with, you must have a plan and you must know at which step what to assess. So change and tailor your protocol to your new needs, because the body is a system of systems that constantly evolves, constantly changes, and we need to keep up with this. We need to walk next to it and observe it and give it the right tools. So we need a customized healing plan due to or I would say after a very comprehensive assessment. What is your commitment to improve your condition from 1 to 10? When we go to a doctor, we believe that this doctor can help us, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't go. Why bother going to a doctor if we believe that they cannot do anything? So it's the same thing. When you get a plan from me or another healthcare practitioner or wellness coach, you have to make sure that you are clear on your beliefs. You know what you want, where you want to go, and you are committed, and you know your why you're doing it, because this why will keep you going in the moments where you fall low, you don't get the results you expected, to push you up so you can climb up to where you would like to go. So I expect my clients to have a commitment 9 or 10, otherwise they will not achieve the results, because they can spend an hour or so with me a day, but they have 23 hours to undo what we did in this hour, and that won't lead to where we want to go. And do you have a dream team? The dream team, I am the dream team of the clients, and the people around them, those people who love them, and they do love, and those people who are aware of the plan and will support them morally, and they will give them the space in order to fulfill the requirements of this plan. This is very important. Sometimes, for some reasons inexplicable to me, people sabotage each other. I had a husband, I was working with his wife to lose weight and to get rid of the high blood pressure pill. And every night he was bringing chips at home, and I told her, you absolutely are not allowed to eat chips, not because of the potatoes or the calories, but all the bad chemistry which is inside of this package. We can't really achieve good quality results if you do that. But he kept doing this and kept doing this. So he obviously was not part of this dream team. I hope you understood what I meant. This is all from me now. Thank you for your attention. To everyone who participated, Monica and Tanya and what was the name of this lady? Mandulu. Thank you very much. And I am giving you today, because you were on this workshop, you don't have to do the 20-minute session with me. I'm giving away a 90-minute roadmap session. It's a free session where we can see what are the roadblocks for you that prevent you from healing all of this condition so far, and to see if I can help you. And this is the link where you can book your appointment, and let's see each other and let's talk about it. I'm sorry if I did not pronounce some of your names correctly. Thank you very much.